The massive stadium was electric with anticipation. It was one of those rare moments when history felt like it was about to be rewritten right before the world's eyes. The air buzzed with the sound of tens of thousands of supporters, their voices a mixture of excitement, anger, and unwavering loyalty. Rows upon rows of people, men, women, young, old, stood shoulder to shoulder, many gripping their phones, already live streaming and recording, eager to capture what they believed would be another monumental speech. Trump's rallies had always been a spectacle, but this one was different. There had been warnings, rumors circulating online, anonymous sources claiming that powerful forces were plotting something big. The mainstream media had spent the past week speculating, some calling it a security risk, others flat out demanding it be canceled. The talking heads on television had been relentless. It's too dangerous. It's irresponsible. His influence is out of control. But his supporters knew the truth. This wasn't about security. It wasn't about public safety. It was about silencing him. The moment the announcement hit, it sent a shockwave through the stadium. A voice over the loudspeakers declared, "Due to unforeseen circumstances, this event has been officially canceled. We apologize for any inconvenience." Silence. A brief, stunned pause before the crowd erupted. "Boos!" Shouts of outrage, fists pumping in the air. Then, like a tidal wave crashing against a wall, the chant began. "Let him speak! Let him speak!" It started in the front rows and spread like wildfire. Thousands of voices in unison, defiant and unyielding. Security personnel, previously standing casually by the entrance, suddenly tensed, their hands moving toward their earpieces, waiting for instructions. Cameramen from mainstream networks hesitated, some deliberately turning off their feeds while others secretly kept rolling, knowing that they were standing in the middle of a breaking news moment. Backstage, Donald J. Trump sat in a chair, one leg crossed over the other, watching the chaos unfold on a monitor. His expression was unreadable at first, but then that familiar smirk crept across his face. He had seen this play out before. Attempts to silence him, to shut him down, to erase him from the conversation. Every time they tried, it only made him stronger. A young aide rushed into the room, phone in hand, eyes wide. "Sir, the networks are cutting their feeds. Twitter is already flooded with posts saying you've been banned from speaking tonight." Trump didn't flinch. Instead, he casually adjusted his red tie, his mind already calculating his next move. "They think they can stop me?" he said, more amused than angry. "Biggest mistake of their lives?" The aide nodded, waiting for further instructions. But Trump had already reached into his suit pocket and pulled out his own phone. His fingers moved swiftly over the screen. In seconds, he was logged into Truth Social, his own platform, the one they couldn't control. He tapped out a message. "They just tried to silence me. They don't want you to hear the truth. But guess what? I'm speaking anyway. Watch me leave." Attached to the post was a link, a direct stream, bypassing every traditional media outlet, cutting through the censorship like a hot knife through butter. He pressed send. Within seconds, notifications flooded phones across the country. Every supporter, every ally, every curious spectator watching the chaos unfold was now being directed to one place. His voice, unfiltered, uncensored. The numbers surged by the thousands, then the tens of thousands. Back in the stadium, the crowd remained unmoved. They weren't leaving. Some checked their phones, and within moments, word spread like wildfire. "He's live. He's going around." "Them!" A woman in the front row held her phone up high, showing the screen to those around her. The cheers began almost instantly. People huddled together, eyes glued to their screens. Some opened their laptops. Others plugged their phones into portable speakers, amplifying his voice throughout the stadium. And then, there he was. His face filled the screen, his voice booming across the internet, as clear and powerful as ever. Well, Trump began, leaning slightly forward, the glint in his eye unmistakable. They didn't want me to talk tonight. They didn't want you to hear what I had to say. But you know what? That's not how America works. The crowd erupted. Even though he wasn't physically standing in front of them, it didn't matter. He had found another way, a stronger way. His voice carried on. They can cancel a stage. They can cut a microphone, but they can't stop you. They can't stop us. And they definitely can't stop the truth. By now, the numbers on the live stream were skyrocketing. 1 million viewers, then 2 million, then 3. The internet was on fire. Twitter was in complete meltdown mode. Hashtags like "Let Trump Speak" and "We Are Watching" trending within minutes. Facebook scrambled to contain the flood of shares. In the mainstream media control rooms, chaos erupted. Producers shouted at their teams, demanding they regain control of the narrative. Some anchors tried to downplay it, dismissing it as a desperate stunt. But even they knew the world was watching. And Trump? He wasn't finished. Not even close. What he did next would shake the entire system to its core. The numbers kept climbing. 5 million viewers. Then 6. The mainstream media had spent years trying to control the conversation, but now they were powerless. Every attempt to silence him only fueled the fire. In homes across America, families sat huddled around, their phones and laptops watching history unfold in real time. In restaurants, bars, and even city streets, people gathered around anyone willing to hold their phone high enough for others to see. But it wasn't just America watching. Across the world, the stream was being shared at an unstoppable rate. In Europe, in South America, in Asia, people tuned in to see what the so-called most banned man in history had to say. Governments, media organizations, and political elites had worked together to shut him down, but Trump had outplayed them yet again. Inside the stadium, the scene was unlike anything ever seen before. No leader in modern history had been canceled, from speaking at their own event only to reach more people than ever before. Security teams, once confident they had neutralized the situation, now stood frozen, their earpieces crackling with frantic voices. They had underestimated the power of the digital age. On the screen, Trump leaned closer, his voice sharp, unwavering. They thought they could stop us. They thought they could control what you hear. But guess what? They don't control you. The American people control America, not the corrupt politicians, not the fake news media, and certainly not the Silicon Valley censors. The crowd erupted again, fists pumping in the air, chants of "USA! USA! USA!" booming louder than ever before. Suddenly, something unexpected happened. The stadium's massive jumbotron, previously displaying nothing but a bland event-canceled message, flickered. Then, for a moment, it went dark. People gasped, looking up, wondering if this was yet another attempt to shut him down. But then, boom! The screen lit up with his live stream. Trump's face filled the jumbotron. His voice thundered through the speakers. The crowd lost their minds. People screamed, jumped, hugged strangers. It was pure, unfiltered energy. An explosion of defiance, of victory. Backstage, his team exchanged stunned glances. "Sir, how did that happen?" An aide stammered. Trump chuckled, shaking his head. "Let's just say, some people out there still believe in free speech. No one knew who had done it. A rogue technician? A group of supporters? A last-minute intervention from someone inside the event staff who had had enough?" But at that moment, it didn't matter. All that mattered was that the message was being heard. The internet was in total meltdown. Twitter couldn't keep up with the flood of posts. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, every platform was overwhelmed with clips of the moment. Telegram channels exploded with messages of support. Even left-wing pundits, usually quick to dismiss him, sat stunned as they watched the numbers climb. 9 million viewers. 10 million, 15 million. The entire world was watching, and then, just when it seemed like things couldn't escalate any further, he dropped the bombshell. His expression grew serious. He leaned in again, his voice lowering, commanding attention. Now, listen carefully because I have something important to tell you. Something they don't want you to hear. The stadium fell into complete silence. Even those watching on their phones at home stopped scrolling, and that's when Trump revealed what they had been trying so desperately to hide. The stadium fell into an eerie, electrified silence. Every single person, those packed into the massive venue, those watching on their phones, those gathered in bars, parks, and living rooms across the country, held their breath. The world had tuned in to hear what they weren't supposed to hear. And Donald J. Trump, knowing full well the gravity of the moment, let the silence stretch for just a few extra seconds. Then he spoke. I have something they never wanted me to tell you, and I'm going to say it loud and clear right now for the whole world to hear. The camera zoomed in on his face. The determination in his eyes was undeniable. For months, for years, they've been lying to you. The corruption, the manipulation, the censorship. It's worse than anyone imagined. And now, I have the proof. Gasps echoed through the stadium. Some people clutched their phones tighter. Others exchanged nervous glances. Was he about to expose something bigger than anyone had anticipated? Trump reached into his suit pocket and pulled out a stack of papers. He held them up to the camera. These documents, right here, are direct evidence of everything we suspected. Emails, financial transactions, secret meetings, government orders to silence not just me, but you. They weren't just trying to stop me from speaking tonight. They've been running a campaign, coordinated at the highest levels, to control what you see, what you hear, and what you're allowed to think. The crowd roared with anger. Shouts of "expose them" and "tell us everything" rang through the air. Trump flipped through the papers, his voice rising with each word. This isn't just about my campaign. This isn't just about politics. This is about them trying to erase the voice of the American people. They worked with big tech to censor you. They worked with the media to brainwash you. They worked with the government to spy on you. And you know what? We have the proof. It's all here. The live stream viewer count skyrocketed. Twitter, already struggling under the sheer volume of tweets, now faced something unprecedented. The Trump Files hashtag exploded across social media. News anchors scrambled for explanations. Behind the scenes, panicked phone calls were being made to executives, to government officials, to intelligence agencies. But nothing could stop it now. The truth was out. Trump wasn't just speaking. He was dropping bombshell after bombshell. He read excerpts from leaked memos, exposing secret meetings where government officials had discussed how to permanently neutralize his influence. He revealed shocking financial links between political elites and foreign interests. He named names. The stadium was shaking. People had climbed onto their seats, their fists in the air. Others had tears in their eyes, overwhelmed by the sheer weight of what they were witnessing. Then, as if the night couldn't become any more chaotic, every major network was forced to cut back to the broadcast. For years, CNN, MSNBC, and even parts of Fox News had controlled the conversation, deciding what could and couldn't be seen. But now, as the biggest political event in modern history unfolded before them, they had no choice but to cover it. Their screens flickered back to Trump's face, their anchors scrambling for words, their producers in meltdown mode. Because here was the truth. They had lost control. Meanwhile, in Washington, alarms were going off. The political elite had underestimated him again. The plan to silence him had backfired in the worst way imaginable. Not only had Trump reached his audience, but he had shattered the illusion of control that the establishment had spent decades building, and he wasn't finished. "This is just the beginning," he said, his voice as steady as ever. "We are taking our country back. They can't stop us. They can't silence us. And in 2024, we're going to make history." The stadium erupted. Fireworks lit up the sky. The chants of "USA, USA" were deafening. People were crying, hugging, jumping. In celebration. This was no longer just a political rally. This was a revolution. And as Trump signed off his live stream with a simple, powerful message, the fight has just begun. The world knew one thing for sure. Nothing would ever be the same again.